So morning everybody. Today I'm really pleased to have a catch up with Ben Horrigan from Studio 91 Media. The reason that I've got Ben on today is to talk around how to create really powerful video at home. At the moment, it's such a massive opportunity for people to have the time to create great content, and many people are using that opportunity to try all new manner of things at home, whether that be doing webinars, whether that be creating podcasts, whether that be creating little videos at home or written content. But I think what we've all seen across social media and various different channels that a lot of the video that people are creating could be a lot better, and there's lots of simple hints and techniques to make it so. We've seen, a lot of people with piece to camera video they're doing on their phone that's really shaky. We're seeing really poor lighting in the background. We're seeing background noise. We're seeing all sorts of little things that could be improved on to make some really sharp video. And I think from my perspective, now's a great time to be able to invest some time in creating content, and not only for the next couple of months, but also for long into the future. And we can use this time to create some really powerful content to take our businesses on over the next weeks, months, and years. Let's use this time effectively. So that's why I thought it'd be really great to have Ben on to sort of talk about how we can create some really sharp quality video content with simple tools that most of us have already got at home, and some good knowledge in the background. So without further ado, Ben, over to you. Do you want to do a little bit of introduction to yourself?
Thanks, Mike. Yeah. My name's Ben Horrigan. I run Studio 91 Media, which is a video production company that I set up. I went full time with it around this time last year, when the world was very different. And what I do is work with businesses, charities, and broadcasting teams to make good quality video content for social media. Usually that involves me filming people and then editing it and adding graphics and that kind of thing. What I used to do quite a bit of was editing things that other people would send me, which was often a more cost-effective way for people to do it anyway, because it avoids the filming day. That side of the business has inevitably now become the main thing I'm doing. I'm not able to film anyone now that we're locked down. But there's so much potential to use what people can film themselves and send me. A lot of people I know are worried about doing it wrong, and they're worried that they won't speak eloquently enough, that they won't film it with the right quality, and that it will damage their brand or their reputation. Yeah. And that's absolutely something to consider. But what I would say to those people is, just don't worry too much about it, because I don't want to say this the wrong way, but people's standards are a little bit lower now than they would normally be. People are very used to seeing video from people's homes, video from people who aren't necessarily used to talking on camera, video where the lighting isn't perfect, where it's filmed on a phone, and that's okay. Like, we're all in the same boat, and it's important that sometimes it's really good for people to see people in a slightly more vulnerable, slightly more honest setting, and it can really help people get their message across. And also, phones are amazing. There's so much they can do now. I'm using an iPhone 11, and one of the really cool functions that they introduced recently is with this app called Double Take. You can actually film with two cameras at once. So if you've got a phone like the iPhone 11 that's got a sort of normal lens and a wide angle lens, you can film with both at the same time and get two different shots to cut between, which is something I'm considering for an upcoming client project. That's what I do in a nutshell. But I'm going to go through and talk about some top tips for how to get the best out of filming yourself while you're at home using whatever you've got to hand. And then I'm also going to go through some of those main points in a bit more detail and talk about how to get the best lighting, how to get the best audio, and how to get the framing right.
Yeah. Great
Does that
stuff.
sound good?
Yeah, sounds perfect. Yeah, I suppose that really resonates what you just said. I think about having the opportunity just to give it a go. I think now more than ever, there is just so much opportunity just to try some new things and see what sticks, get better at it, try new mediums and try different channels. There's so much opportunity right now to connect with our audiences in different ways that are cheaper and faster and easier than ever. That it makes sense to just give it a go and have a crack at it and see what works.
Yeah, and to be honest, filming myself and talking to camera isn't something that comes naturally to me either. So I completely understand where people are coming from with that. It's not something that I'd really done before. I'm used to just being behind the camera, but I have experimented with it. You know, since lockdown, and I've already seen results from it, and I got a lot of positive feedback on, you know, one video that I put out in particular, just advertising my my new sort of fixed rate editing packages that I'm doing for people that are filming themselves from home. I put out a video about that, was quite honest about how I didn't want to. I was worried about coming across too salesy and that sort of thing, and people really responded to it, and I've had work out of that. So it's well worth experimenting with. I mean, in most cases, you've not really got anything to lose, unless there's something incriminating in the back of your shot.
No, you've given me the kick up the backside I needed then, 'cause it's been on my list all week to sit down and do some stuff that we were talking about last week, and I still haven't managed to do it. So hopefully I'll try and get around to it today after this.
Yeah, that's cool.
All right, let's crack on.
Cool. So 5 top tips, and these are all in the blog post on Mike's website, which I'm sure you'll be linking to. But the top tips that are right at the top of that page, which are for people who are in a bit of a rush and perhaps don't have time to read the whole blog or watch this whole video, they are number one, get the light source right. So when I talk about lighting, I'm not talking about Hollywood studio lighting. In most cases, your best light source is going to be natural light. It's going to be daylight. So assuming you're in a house with windows, figure out, just have a little think about what's the best room to do it in. What, you know, literally what are your rooms facing, north, south, east, west? Where's going to be a good spot to do it from that point of view? And then base the rest of your setup around that. I'm in right now. I mean, this is possibly not the most beautiful place to film. It's my little study in our box room, but I've got a window that's facing me there. If I'll show you, I've got a window which is, what's that, east facing. So I know that filming in here in the morning is going to be a good shout straight away, and then I can plan everything else around that. So if I wanted to think about what's in the background behind me, I can arrange all that stuff. I can talk a bit more about lighting later. It's a
really good tip for Zoom calls and stuff like that as well. I mean, so often, I mean, right now your lighting is so much better than mine. It's a bit dark and I've got this big shiny thing on the side of my head. But yeah, you go off on Zoom calls so often and you see somebody who's sitting completely in the dark because they've got light right facing them, I suppose, as opposed to or probably coming directly from behind them, right? So it's overwhelming the camera.
Yeah, it's when people set up their sort of home office, whether that's a recent thing or whether they'd already had it set up before, it's not something they would ever have thought about. Unless if they've got a really nice view out of their window, they might have thought, yeah, I want to face out the window. But other than that, people will have just thought, where's a good place to put the desk? Like, where does it fit in the room? Whereas actually, if you kind of rearrange things a little bit, either permanently or temporarily for the purposes of recording, then you're going to get much better results. My number 2 top tip is just around minimizing background noise and echo where you can. I'll talk a bit more about ways of getting rid of echo later, but just have a little think about, I mean, I would say just stop, listen. What can you hear? Can you hear a really loud humming fridge? Can you hear, I don't know, car noises outside? Is it worth shutting a window? Have you got children running around? That is there a way of keeping them occupied for 10 minutes while you film? Just thinking about those things is well worth doing.
Start barking at any particular moment as well, especially if the post imminently and
Absolutely. Third tip is just consider whether you want the video to be portrait or landscape. Rule of thumb generally is, if in doubt, landscape is your best bet, but it does come down a little bit to what platform you work into. If your main if the main platform you're aiming for is Instagram stories or TikTok, then yeah, clearly portrait is going to be better. If it's anything else, if it's LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, I would shoot landscape and then potentially crop that to square later, which is dead easy to do. We can talk about that a bit later. I'm going to talk about some apps that you can use. Next top tip is just get your phone or whatever device you're using to head height, or at least chest height. So at the minute there, Mike, you're on a laptop. Yeah. So I can see that you've got your laptop kind of on your desk and it's pointed up at you, so you get that slightly kind of chin heavy shot. It's always going to look best. I mean, you look amazing, I'll be honest. But you're always going to get the best results if your camera is at eye level. So my camera is like just here. There you go. I mean, in the related top tip to that, I suppose, is when you're filming, look at the lens of the camera. So this is me looking at the lens of the camera. This is me looking at my phone screen, and it does make a difference. Well, yeah, if you look at the lens, it looks a lot more professional, and you're also less likely to worry then about what you look like because you're not looking at an image of yourself. What you could even do is just record using the back camera on the phone, which you'd probably need to get someone else to check that the shot's okay, because obviously you won't be able to see it. You won't see what the framing looks like, but you won't be distracted by seeing yourself on the screen, and you may find that the quality of the video is better from the back camera, depending on the phone. And then, yeah, just the fifth top tip, which is related to all the previous four, is do not start recording until you're happy with what it looks and sounds like. It's too often, and I've done this so many times, just jump straight into the filming, and then it's only when you get into the edit that you go, oh, it looks like there's a houseplant coming out of my head. I wish I hadn't done that. Why didn't I spot that at the time? And you've potentially just wasted 45 minutes of your life that you may need to do again, or you've got to live with something that's not as good as it could have been. So just take a pause before you start and think about if there's any way to improve that shot.
Cool.
So that's top tips. Shall I move on to some more in-depth stuff now?
Yeah, why not? Yeah, sounds good. Yeah,
awesome. So first thing to consider is accessories. There's a lot you can do with just a phone, but there's also tons of stuff out there to help you, whether it be, so there's a lot of mics you can get that are going to help with your audio. Either there's a few Bluetooth mics out there, there's ones that you can plug straight into the phone. There's a lot of options. It's not normally an issue if you're somewhere that's not got tons of echo, not got tons of background noise, but it's something to consider anyway. The only accessory that I would...
In your recent things, have you used a mic or not?
No, not for using a phone. The video that I put out about the fixed price editing, I used my pro camera kit. So that was with a proper mic. But that's because I have that to hand. I wouldn't necessarily recommend spending a ton of money on audio equipment, unless you really feel like you need it. It's probably worth having an experiment without first, seeing how you get on, and then considering making those purchases. But there are in the blog post there are some links to products. Obviously we're not getting any commission from those, but they're just kind of some recommendations from me.
Sure.
The only accessory that I would say is definitely well worth investing in is a tripod. There's a ton of really cheap ones online. So, I mean, Amazon have an Amazon Basics one that I think is about 30 quid. Just a very lightweight tripod. It's obviously not going to have anything heavy on it. it's not got to be really heavy duty. It just needs to hold the phone up at the right height and in a stable way. You, as well as the main tripod, they don't normally come with an attachment that lets you stick a phone on it. So what you need is they're called phone adapters or phone clamps. I'll just show you what I'm working with here. So you can see it's like a little clamp that just attaches onto the top of the tripod.
Okay.
And that's what I've got my phone slotted in now. And it works really well, dead easy to use. I think I can't remember how much this tripod was, but it's a cheap, lightweight one, and the adapter on top was less than a tenner. I mean, it might be about £5.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them on there if you search for phone clamp. But yeah, that is the one accessory I would definitely say is well worth getting. If you don't want to get a tripod, or you want to experiment without making that investment, there's other more sort of DIY ways of doing it. They include things like propping the phone up on a bookshelf and standing up. You could, if you're sitting down at a desk, I would suggest just getting a big stack of those heavy books that you never read, like the big chunky books like dictionaries, and your A-level German dictionary would be a great one. Stack them up and then just have the phone propped up on something heavy at the top of that stack. But the key thing is just get that phone up to head height, however that works for you. I think someone did suggest blue tacking the phone to a wall as well, which is also an option. You'll find with that it's a little bit of a balance between
that, isn't it?
it's a bit of a balance between getting the phone at the right height, but also getting that light, because obviously those two might conflict with each other, because if you're putting the phone on a bookshelf or something, you're a bit restricted. So the nice thing about a tripod is you can put it wherever you want it.
Yes.
Cool. So that's accessories done. We covered a lot about lighting before. The only thing I would add to what I said before is that if you're facing a window and it's really sunny, you might just find that there's a bit too much light, that you start getting a bit of glare. I might be able to kind of recreate that now, actually, because it is very sunny today. So I've got a blind down at the minute, just kind of a lightweight blind, which is quite a good way of diffusing some of that light and cutting it down. If I get rid of that, oh yes, it's not as sunny as I thought it was. When I first set up, it was there was quite a big glare on my face, and it was basically my face was completely
You'd
white.
probably be squinting a bit as well.
I'll be squinting a bit as well. So in that situation, I would suggest a lightweight blind if you've got one, or move further away from the window so the light's having less of an impact on you. Or what's the other option? You can sit at a bit more of an angle to the window as well. That quite often helps, rather than being head on.
Yeah.
I mean, out of interest, Mike, if you turn yourself now a bit more so you're facing the window, what does that look like? What does that do? Oh, move the laptop as well, sorry.
It's very bright at my end, but yeah.
I think that's, hang on. So you should be facing the window with your laptop in between you and the window.
Hang on, I'll unplug it.
Sorry.
All right.
Oh,
Yeah.
there you go. That's loads better. Oh, it's still quite dark though. Oh, I suppose, yeah, I think you've got more light at the other end of the house, haven't you?
Yeah, there's another
window. So which makes me think, well, if you were going to film in that setup, I know you probably wouldn't film just for your laptop, but the things to think about would be where in the house, but also what time of day you can get the best results.
Yeah, that's a good point as well. Because if I was going to film here, then I want to make sure that was all blocked off in terms of light. Well, probably wouldn't I, just to make sure that you get the benefit. Yeah,
that's it. It's just taking that 15 minutes to rearrange things a little bit and make sure you're getting the best results. Yeah, I think that's all I was going to say about lighting.
Okay.
In terms of sound, if there's an issue with sound, it's not normally so much background noise. It's normally more of an echo, which tends to happen particularly in bigger rooms, or, well, not necessarily big rooms, rooms that haven't got much soft furnishing in anyway. So if you're in a room that's got a lot of bare walls, maybe there's no carpet, you're likely to get the sound from your voice just bouncing off the walls a little bit, which creates a bit of an echo. So if you've got, I would say ideally do it in a room with curtains, with some soft furnishing in, with a carpet, where you can. Obviously, it totally depends on the setup that people have got. And again, you're weighing that up with which room has the most light in it, which room looks the best. So it is a bit of a balance between all these different factors.
Can you improve that with editing at the end, or?
You can reduce it, but without getting a sort of a professional audio mixer involved, there's not a ton that you can do. If you're editing on something like Adobe Premiere, then there's a few quick fixes you can do. Which, I mean, I would just Google those if that's the case. Just Google how to reduce background noise in Premiere. There is Premiere's got a de-reverb effect as well, which works okay on echo, but it starts to sound weird for other reasons. Then it starts to sound a bit processed. Okay. It's always better to try and fix it at the time of filming. If there's really nothing you can do about background noise and echo, then just get nice and close to the mic. So I either get close to the phone and maybe do a slightly closer up shot than you would normally want to do, or get yourself a mic. So the ideal one for a phone for this sort of purpose, I think, would be the Rode RODE Smart Lav, which I think is linked to the blog post, but if not, we can update it. But that's just one that you plug into your phone, into the headphone jack, if your phone's got a headphone jack, and then you just stick it onto your collar. So it's a nice close mic, and because the mic's closer, that's going to cut out a lot of the background noise and a lot of the echo.
Right, brilliant.
Cool. Okay. I think that's all I was going to say about sound. That there's not a ton that you can do without proper professional kit and without a professional edit, but those are the top tips to kind of help you out. Framing and composition, which sound like quite big scary things. When I talk about framing, I'm mainly talking about that thing of getting the phone to head height, getting it to eye level. Your ideal shot for this kind of thing is, if you see how there's a bit of headroom just above my head, above my massive hair. I'm due a haircut, really. You've got a bit of, sorry, Zoom's trying to kick me out. I've got a bit of headroom at the top of above my head, and then I've got the bottom of the frame comes down to about chest height. That's roughly where you want the framing to be. In terms of kind of composition, this isn't the best example, but how I think about what you might want in the background of your shot. I think what you've got there is lovely. You've got all those nice photos in the background. You can't necessarily see them close up, but you can see that there's some nice stuff on the wall, which just helps give it a bit of character, I suppose. In some cases, it might be nice to have some form of branding behind you, or just, get your nicest houseplants together and stick them on some bookshelves behind you. For some reason, I keep seeing people just in front of bookshelves, which I think is just to show off what books they've got.
With their philosophical and business entrepreneur books that they're I
don't know if you saw the BBC Big Night In, the Children in Need and Comic Relief thing. It was really good. They had tons of sketches, but there's a bit where Jason, there's tons of comedians and things filming themselves from home, and there's a bit with Jason Manford, and he was standing in front of a bare wall, but he had A4 paper stuck to the wall just with bookshelves written on it as placeholders. You've not, but to be fair, bookshelves do tend to look quite nice. Equally, houseplants are always great. Don't be tempted, if you've got a nice view out of the window, don't be tempted to use that as your background, because then you're going to run into the lighting issues. The only way that ever works is if you've also got a window at the other end of the room, and the sun's coming from that end. The strongest light source needs to be the one that's facing you. If there's another light source behind you that's stronger, then that's going to be white. You won't see that nice view, and your face is going to be silhouetted.
It's a good point, that as well, because what we've just been talking about is is recording video actually in home, but a lot of people, seen loads recently where people are doing it outside. So I suppose you're going to encounter loads more of those issues, noise, lighting, all of those problems by being outside, aren't you?
No, yeah, that's a really good point. Your lighting is likely to be better, unless the sun's horrifically glaring. Yeah, obviously, don't directly face the sun, but you still want the sun to be kind of maybe at an angle. I'd say like a 45-degree angle, something like that. If the sun's really harsh, you're going to start to get a massive shadow on one side of your face.
Yeah.
So your ideal conditions for that really are cloudy weather, because the clouds just diffuse that light and soften it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no major issue with filming outside. I think if you've got a nice garden or something, then do it. Yeah, background noise is likely to be your issue there. If you've got people mowing the lawn and stuff, then straight away I would sack that off. But yeah, if it's fairly quiet outside, then go for it by all means. Yeah.
Okay.
We touched on landscape and portrait already, so I probably won't go over that again unless you had any questions on that.
No, I think you covered it really. It depends on the medium, doesn't it? Really.
Yeah, that's it. I guess think about where this video is going to end up. Where's your priority platform? Where are your audience? Where are the people that you actually want to see it? And yeah, if that main audience is on LinkedIn, just go with landscape. Yeah, if it's Facebook or the Instagram feed, you may want to edit it to square after. Which brings me neatly onto apps and the various editing apps that you can use to kind of create your finished product. And the one that I tend to recommend is Zoom's telling me that they've removed the 40-minute limit. That's good.
Right.
That's handy. I think we're about to run out of time. So yeah, the app that I tend to recommend is Adobe Spark Video. And this, if you've got any of the Adobe Creative Cloud subscriptions already, so if you use Photoshop or anything like that, then you've got Spark Video included in that. If not, there's either a free version which puts a little logo in the corner, or there's a subscription just for that, which I think it's now £10 a month. Which for what you get is really good. I mean, there's tons of competitors, and I've reviewed quite a lot of them before. They tend to be very expensive. There's a lot of up towards sort of £50 a month before you get any decent features out of it. A lot of them have a demo version or a free version, but the features are just absent. Whereas with Adobe Spark Video, there's a ton of features on the free version, but the £10 a month pro version, or the one that's included with Creative Cloud, you get so much. And the way, I don't want to go into loads of detail because there's a lot of other stuff that you could read up on or watch about Adobe Spark Video. But the way it essentially works is lets you drop snippets into your sequence, if you like. They're maximum 30 seconds long, so it wouldn't work for something like this, like a longer form thing. You wouldn't be able to use Adobe Spark Video.
Yeah.
But if you want to create something snappy and well paced, this is a really good way of giving you that discipline and forcing you into a bit of a structure, if that makes sense. So everything's in chunks of up to 30 seconds. You can add text, you can add stock images and things. It pulls them in from the internet, and you can have music as well, and you end up with just a really nice snappy package, without tons of effort really. You don't have to use video in that. You could add photos, or you can add a mixture of the two. And if you sign up for the paid version, you can add your own branding to that as well. So it lets you add a logo at the end, but it also lets you add things like your branded typefaces. It lets you pick your branded colors, and then it will automatically, all of the graphical elements will automatically fit around that. Yeah. And it's worth saying as well that it works on desktop as well as in an app, so you can work on both, and your progress will get saved between the two.
Right.
So yeah, I'd say Spark Video is the main one I'd recommend for editing. If you do need to do something more in depth than that, then you're looking at probably Adobe Premiere Pro, which you can get for Mac and PC. if you're on Mac, I would look at Final Cut Pro. There's not a huge amount of difference in the two. That they've both got tons of features. Final Cut Pro is probably a bit quicker to learn how to use, and the big difference really is that Final Cut Pro is one-off cost. Adobe Premiere Pro, like the rest of Creative Cloud, is a subscription model, so you've got to pay monthly for that one.
Yeah.
Final Cut, I'm not sure the cost, but it's about £300 as a one-off cost. Okay,
cool.
And then, yeah.
Sorry, just to interrupt you. You mentioned an interesting point there about timing. That's probably something worth having a quick chat about. So, how long do you think, if we're going to be producing videos for social media to maybe promote oh my God, the sun is literally just bouncing off the side of my head now. Sorry. Yeah, if you're going to be promoting videos that's going to be talking about a particular service that you're going to use on social media, for example, versus something that's a little bit more in depth for your website, have you got any advice on how long those videos should be for different channels?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose people haven't got massive attention spans for people talking to camera. So really, if it's something for social media, I don't always say keep videos under a minute, but in this case, I would aim for that. I would aim for about a minute or less for that sort of thing. Yeah, obviously, if it is for your website, then it's fine to be a few minutes long. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, I guess if you're using something like Adobe Spark, you can inject a bit of pace into it by adding text graphics and things. So it's I guess the important thing is it's not just you talking to camera non-stop, but that you insert something else into that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Helpful, thanks.
Yeah. I mean, that's always the $1 million question, isn't it? How long should a video be on social media? Because there's never really a right answer, and it entirely depends on the content and how engaging it is. But generally, I would say it can be longer if it's visually engaging and grips people from the start. Yeah. But I recognise that's very difficult to do on social. I mean, in the one that I did promoting my fixed price services, I kind of opened with me and my toddler, and just shamelessly brought him into it, and deliberately kind of filmed it in a slightly ropey way, to make a point about, have you noticed that the quality of video content seems to have slipped massively in the last couple of weeks? You know, can't think why. And then my kid taps his button on his toy and it starts playing music. Obviously that wasn't scripted, that was just him improvising. But I thought at least then there's a few seconds at the start that are really gonna engage people and get them gripped. If it was just talking straight to camera, I would think about what's the punchiest thing you say, or what's the funniest thing you say, or the most thought-provoking thing you say. Clip out those few seconds and stick those right at the start. You know, 3, 4, 5 seconds long, and then go into a title, or some sort of title. Especially if you're using Adobe Spark, just stick in a text slide after that first bit. What people tend to do is start on a title or start on their logo. People really love doing that, and I would never recommend that. I would always say get to the action first. Get your most exciting bit right up front, and then go from there.
I suppose it sort of seems natural that it's like you're delivering a presentation. It starts with the introduction, starts with you holding screen, you go through the slides, and then you finish it off. But that's not particularly engaging from a video point of view, is it?
Yeah, well, I mean, we used to, from traditional media, if you were making a film, say, and you spent all your money on a big explosion or something, a big special effects shot, chances are that's going to be near the end of the film. In social media, it's the other way around. So if you spent all your money on a big explosion, I mean, that's a terrible example, but if you've got a big moment, say, or a funny moment or a thought-provoking moment, it needs to be at the start. It's okay if it's later on as well. What I'm suggesting is you flip it out of wherever it fits into the main structure and just duplicate it to the start. No one's going to fault you for doing that.
Do you have any advice on actual delivery to camera? Because I think that's one thing that a lot of people are a bit nervous about, actually speaking to camera and their voice. you know, whether they're coming across a bit monotonous or a bit too high pitched or a little bit too exaggerated. Any sort of advice around that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not something I'm an expert on by any stretch. I'm not used to being in front of the camera, but I'm used to directing people who maybe aren't used to being on camera.
Yeah.
The main things I would usually say are imagine that you're talking to a group of people. Don't imagine that you're in a small room on your own talking to a device. Yeah, just maybe picture a few people in front of you and imagine you're delivering a talk to people, and that's normally the right tone of voice, and that'll help you. It'll help you project a little bit more, and which will help with audio, by the way. Just speaking louder will help reduce that echo and background noise, because you'll be the difference between you and the background noise will increase.
Yeah.
And then the other thing to think about is whether you want to script it or to what extent you want to script it.
Yeah.
This varies from person to person because it depends how you are. Some people are amazing at writing lines and delivering them and making them sound natural.
Yeah.
Most people aren't. So my tip really would be to figure out the outline of what you want to say. What do you want to cover in this piece of content? And have that. I mean, I've got post-it notes written here that I'm looking down at that have just got bullet points of what I'm going to cover. It's not a script. It's literally 2 post-its.
Yeah.
But by doing that, you're going to speak a lot more naturally.
Yeah.
You might find that there's a few more ums and ahs, which I'm sure I've said several of during the course of this. But if you have if you're doing a 1-minute video, there's no harm in doing it 2 or 3 times until you've got it exactly how you want it.
Yeah.
And also, don't worry if there are ums and ahs, because people probably aren't going to mind too much. As I said at the start, people are used to seeing things that are. People are used to seeing people being natural and being honest and being at home.
Yeah. Great tip. Okay. Cool.
One other thing that I was going to mention is just subtitles.
Yeah, definitely.
Which I mean, there's a bit more info in the blog and some links to some services you can use. But the thing to bear in mind is that there's 2 types of subtitles. There's the ones that are burnt onto the video, so that they literally appear for anyone watching the video. They will be there. You can't hide them. They're called open captions. The other type is closed captions, which we're used to from traditional TV, where you can turn them on and off. My preference is closed captions. The reason being that they'll appear automatically on the newsfeed. So say someone's scrolling through Facebook, those closed captions will show up because they're hearing the video without sound, most likely. If they then tap in to watch the video with sound, those subtitles will hide unless they have them turned on deliberately for accessibility reasons. So
decision for you if it's on.
Exactly. Yeah, and people often find them a bit distracting. If they are hearing the person's voice, why would they need to see subtitles? I mean, as a viewer, I tend to find myself reading the subtitles instead of listening to what the person's saying. Yeah. So you're not getting as much of that kind of natural authenticity that you want. Yeah. So I've explained in the blog how to get those 2 ways of doing it. Basically, there's an app you can use for getting the burnt on subtitles that can automatically transcribe what you're saying. You get a few free credits with it automatically, and then you've got to pay for more, but it's very low cost because it's just an automatic transcription service. That then it'll add the subtitles onto the video. You can pick a style of how you want the text to look, and then you can just download it and upload it to wherever it's going. That I can't remember the name of it. I think it's called something like mix.cc or something, but yeah, it's in the blog. And then for the closed captions, which is my preference, the simplest way of doing that is a service called rev.com, which you upload your video to rev.com. Probably best doing that online on desktop. And then it will get transcribed by someone. So someone will sit down, type out everything that you're saying, and then you'll end up with a subtitle file at the end of it, it's a .srt file. You don't need to worry about it. It just looks like gobbledygook, half of it. It's just code. But you can upload that to Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. You can't currently use that on Twitter and Instagram. because they don't have a function for closed captions. But if your main platforms are Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube or any combination of those, then I would use rev.com. It's about, last I checked, it was $1 per minute of video. It's really cheap, well worth it. But yeah, 2-minute video, you're paying $2 to get great subtitles, which means more people are going to watch your video because they'll understand what you're saying without the audio turned on. There's also a cheaper option on there where it transcribes it automatically, and then you'll obviously have to fix it a little bit just to make it exactly what you've said.
Sure, brilliant.
But that is, in a nutshell, all my knowledge.
No worries, fantastic. Really appreciate that, Ben. Thanks so much. Tell us a little bit about your the service that you're offering at the moment as well, then, to help people sort of really polish these videos.
Yeah, of course. So I'm conscious that people might not want to edit stuff themselves, either for time reasons.
So it's quite time consuming. I did some a couple of weeks ago because I had a video that I wanted to just tweak a little bit, and it took me hours. It would take you a couple of minutes, but if you're not using these tools, it can take a lot of time, can't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say with a bit of practice, something like Adobe Spark Video is fairly quick. But if you've never done it before and you're umming and ahhing about whether this shot's going to work before that one and that sort of thing, it does take time. Yeah, so it's that, or people might just want a more sort of polished looking result. So what I've been offering is a sort of fixed price editing package, which is, I mean, it's at a far lower rate than I would normally charge for editing, because I realise that people's budgets are quite tight. But essentially what that includes is, a nice polished edit of what you've said. If you just give me whatever you've recorded, and I'll make it nice and tight and nice and succinct, and I'll make it fit the duration that you want and the platform that you want it to be on. I'll also add any kind of branded graphics that need doing, so nice quality motion graphics with things like your name, any title slides that you want to come up. I can do stuff with your logo as well to make that sound good.
Excellent.
Sorry, I've got another call just coming in, but what was I going to say? Yeah, and I can also add stock videos to that where needed. It sometimes works, sometimes doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm sure you'll put all the info about that in the description. Yeah,
I will do, absolutely. And yeah, so from my perspective, I really recommend that. Ben did some videos for me last year, and they look fantastic. You do some great work, Ben. So
thanks, mate.
No worries. I'll make sure that I put a link to you in the description. For everyone that's listening, you can go to mymarketing.com and you can see the blog that Ben has written, which contains all of the information that he's just discussed now. How can people get in touch with you, Ben?
Best way is probably the contact form on my website, which I think is linked to on that blog. Otherwise, I'm on Twitter as Studio91 Media. So Studio number 91 Media. And people can just DM me on there if they want.
Okay, perfect. Thanks so much for your time, Ben. Really good to catch up.
No, thank you. That was ace.
No worries. Catch up soon.
Thanks for having me.
See ya.